up, America? Neil here from the Geauga Firearms Academy. Today I want to talk to you guys about concealed carry. Specifically, where in the body, as far as positions, where you would consider putting your gun, and where it's going to be consistent each and every time. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at our body like a clock. So 12 o'clock is going to be right in the front. Obviously, then 3, 6, and 9. So for me, all my carry positions are going to be in the right since I'm right-handed. Obviously, if you're left, it's going to be the opposite. There's two very common positions that we're going to talk about specifically right now. The first one is what we call appendix. That's where the firearm actually goes right here, right in the center, just off the center line of your body, on your weak side, so that you can go ahead and grab your gun. Some people even prefer to put it over here on this side. Either way, this is what they call appendix. There's a lot of well-known, nationally known trainers who actually like the appendix carry. My personal preference is I'm not for the appendix carry, for the simple reason that I don't really want anything pointing at my body, potentially major arteries, and if you're not aware, there's femoral artery that runs in your legs. And if this gun was ever to go off, it's a critical situation. So I would prefer to not have it point at my body if I can. However, having an appendix carry does allow it to be accessible very, very quickly. It is extremely easy to actually conceal, and accessibility for speed is point. Now, the 3 o'clock position, this would be directly on your hip. This is where most operators, law enforcement, this is where they're going to keep their firearm. But of course, that's going to be on outside the waistband holster, meaning their gun is exposed. This is going to be almost impossible to conceal, considering it's going to add the bulk right on your side. So you're going to have to put the firearm somewhere around this complete sideline here to give you some type of concealment. So the next most popular, and the one that I prefer, is what we call 4 o'clock or 4:30, where the firearm is going to actually sit right back here. Now, one thing to know, what type of holster you pick is going to depend on where you're going to carry it. In other words, an appendix holster typically is very narrow and just has one strap or one clip to keep the bulk at a minimum. Whereas a 4 o'clock position holster, or somewhere in the rear, is more of a pancake style, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, and how to actually put one on. One other position that I would really encourage you not to do is what they call small of the back, right back here. Now let me explain to you why I'm not a fan of small of the back. Now as you can see, I have this firearm position. It's not in a holster. Of course, any position we'd want to have a holster. But small of the back, as you can see, the frame, the actual metal, is right on my spine. So in a self-defense scenario, if I were ever shoved down to the ground, not only am I going to possibly hitting the ground violently, I'm also now hitting a piece of steel right against my spine, which is never going to end well. The other problem from a self-defense aspect, if someone were to get on top of me at this point, it's virtually impossible for me to get to my firearm since I'm laying on it and someone else is on top of me. So that's why I'm not a fan of small of the back. Alright, so previous in my other video I have a review on the Alien Gear holster, but regardless, some type of pancake holster typically works well. On these pancakes, what that means is it's a nice flat piece of material back here, and then 2 clips on the outside to kind of displace the weight. It helps to make it more comfortable, make it a little more flexible, and to help you with concealment. So let's show you how to put these on. Alright, so basically I just unzipped my pants and undid my belt. One thing to note, you need an actual gun belt, a specifically made gun belt. Not something you get at Macy's or Target or Walmart. An actual gun belt that is heavy-duty leather or has a very solid core if it's a nylon belt. No matter what holster you use, if you have a cheap belt that you can easily squeeze these tabs together on, it's no good. This is a heavy-duty leather gun belt, and I can squeeze it a little bit, but that's about it. So, how does this work? Well, first off, we're going to undo these clips here. And by the way, these loops, these button loops, these are essential for proper carry equipment. Most holsters are going to come with some form of clips, and clips are no good, because what will happen with clips, even if they're metal, as you move around they can become unclipped, and when you pull your firearm out, you end up pulling your whole holster out. So these actually clip around the belt. So this is how this works. Basically what we're going to do is just put this inside our pants here with these loops on the outside of the belt. Okay? then simply going to go ahead and make sure that's nice and tight and it clicks into place, okay, which is what I want. Now that I have this position where I want it, around the belt loops and on my belt nice and tight, then you can go ahead and cinch up your pants again. And you want this to be tight. This should be very tight to the body because this is going to be big for concealment, which I'm going to show you next. Alright, so now here we go. I'm going to go ahead and put my firearm into my holster there, and take your shirt, pull that out, and pull it right over top of your firearm. Okay. So now I have a concealed holster system here, and you'll find that as you pull your shirt on any material, it might help to even having it tighten your belt just a little bit more, just so that's nice and concealed. And so now, as you can see, okay, I'm carrying a gun. I'm not that worried about printing. It may possibly show a little bit here and there. It's not a big deal, but it's not obvious that I have a firearm with me, and that's the main thing. Alrighty, so in this 4 o'clock position, I will say there's a little bit of compromise, and there'll be some compromise in any position that you carry a firearm, because of course you're going to feel it a little bit. But this is pretty comfortable for me, but of course I am carrying a full-size gun, and I do in fact know it's back there. But what this 4 o'clock position allows me to do is conceal the gun well, but also make it accessible. So if I were in a car right now, or just sitting in a chair, I can still get to my firearm. So if I were in this position and I actually had to get to it, what I would do very quickly is grab my garment with my shirt, with my hand, pull it up high, okay? With my left hand, as you see, it comes up at the same time. I'm catching that material, and then I'm taking my thumb down my body, grabbing onto my firearm. That way I have access to be able to pull my firearm out and use it if I need it. Alright, now let's talk about the most compromising of positions. Say that I was pushed down or someone were on top of me. I still need to be able to access my firearm in the same manner. I can either do it one-handed and grab my firearm, or if I have the opportunity, same deal. Cover my shirt, keeping it up, running my thumb down underneath my firearm, and being able to pull it out. Now the reality of the matter, if I'm actually on my back like this, ideally, if you can, we want to use actually our core to support ourselves so that we don't have to swipe our leg as we come across. Okay, once again, trying to avoid any type of muzzling my own body. So what I would do in this situation in reality is I have my legs down and come up. I can still shoot from here. I still have mobility, but I'm clearing my lower body. So another position here would be actually while you're on your side. Now the key for this is I'm actually using my arm here as a stability, bracing it against the ground. So that when I have my firearm here, I have this leg down, this leg posted up for support, and I'm able to fire this gun extremely stable. Now once again, the one danger is as I sweep, if I have to go too far, I don't want to have to cross this leg. So again, as I would, if I had to, as I was coming across, you could roll with it. Or, like I said before, you can come from here and just drop down. And now you have full range without any issue of crossing your body. Okay, so once again, going over the benefits of the 4 o'clock carry is that once again it's accessible from multiple positions that you've seen, all the way to being on the ground itself, sitting in a car or a chair or office or what have you. But also, once again, it does make it very concealable. But even from a standing position, if a threat happened to come up, quickly, I'm able to access that weapon. Alrighty guys, hopefully you learned a little something about the actual positions in which you carry. One thing I'll tell you is whatever position you commit yourself to, you better stay 100% committed to it. In other words, I have a job where I carry a firearm with me every single day, and even though it would be more convenient to have it right here at the 3 o'clock, since it is in fact on the outside of my waistband, I still carry it back here. The reason being is consistency. If anything ever happens, I know where my firearm is at all times. If you want to carry backup guns or secondary systems, that's fine. But your primary system always has to be in that same place. I would say additionally that whatever you decide to go with, especially if this is new to you, is that you actually do this, say, in your house for a week or so. I know that may sound crazy, but what I want you to do is get used to actually doing the things you do. Bending over, picking things up, moving things, sitting down. All the things that you do throughout a day to make sure that, in fact, whatever system you choose to go with is something that you can actually live with and that you can do it consistently. So once again, hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to send me a message. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.